Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, I want to give you a short, sharp, and to the point rundown of how to apply sunscreen correctly. This is a question I get asked all the time, with people agonizing over not just the sunscreen they reach for, but the application, how it goes onto the skin, making sure that they're getting maximum protection. Well, in this video, I want to demystify everything and share with you how I choose to apply my own sunscreen, which is really what I've learned over the many years of reaching for an SPF and what gives me the best outcome. So sit back, relax, let's talk correctly applying sunscreen. So let's take things right back to basics, and the first step in applying your sunscreen is choosing the right one for your skin's needs. Now, I don't want you to just reach out and buy whatever's popular online, because different products will work differently on different skin types, and we're all looking for something a little bit unique when it comes to sunscreen. Make sure the one that you reach for matches your budget and price point when it comes to SPF, so you're not scrimping on the application through worry of cost and having to repurchase. Also, make sure it has the right finish on the skin. Some people like a more dewy, hydrating finish, others like to go for a real matte finish. Of course, different sunscreen formulations offer different appearances on the skin, so make sure you choose the right one based on what your skin needs. The big top tip that I want to give you right out the gate is make sure whatever sunscreen you reach for, it is truly broad spectrum. Now, unfortunately, there's no definition of what broad spectrum means across the globe, different things in different territories. But what we mean when we say broad spectrum is protects you against both UVB and UVA wavelengths of light. If you're shopping a sunscreen from Europe, from Australia, New Zealand, a lot of the consumer regulations in these territories have minimum standards that are really robust. So you buy a sunscreen from these areas and you know you're getting that true broad spectrum protection. Not quite as easy if you're shopping in the US and a US sunscreen, because they've got much less stringent regulations when it comes to broad spectrum coverage. So just make sure whatever product you reach for, that it's giving you that UVA protection alongside the UVB protection that's indicated by that SPF value. I want everyone as well to stop agonising over the reapplication process. I look back and think very few of us were actually applying sunscreen on a regular basis, say just 3 or 4 years ago. Some people definitely were, but a lot of us have discovered the need for wearing sunscreen every single day quite recently. For me, I was definitely in that bracket. You know, I would absolutely apply my sunscreen when I was on the beach, on my holidays, but day to day, I never bothered. Now I always apply it at least once a day. And so instead of agonising over what you can't do, think about what you can do. If it's only feasible to reapply your sunscreen once a day, that's absolutely fine. It's a lot better than what you were probably doing 3 or 4 years ago. If you can reapply more frequently, all the better. But don't agonise over what you can't do. Focus on what you can do when it comes to sunscreen. A really high quality, robust application in the morning that's going to give you that protection for the skin. Then if you have the opportunity to reapply during the day, all the better. But that first application in the morning really has you covered. And that's kind of what I want to come on into this section of the video. So today I'm going to be applying this product. This is the Mad About Skin Protect and Hydrate sunscreen. There are lots of amazing broad spectrum sunscreens out there, and I'll link a video covering some of my favourites up there. However, I created my own sunscreen out of a bit of frustration about not being able to find a truly broad spectrum sunscreen that was also hydrating. A lot of them contain denatured alcohol, which over time irritates, strips and dries the skin. Others gave a really matte finish, which whilst I'm super oily and acne prone, I like just a little bit of hydration and dewiness to my sunscreen application, so my skin doesn't look almost, you know, like uniform and dead throughout the day. We're not looking for that vibe. And so I created mine, and I'm so proud of this. I've always said here on the channel that sunscreen should be affordable. We shouldn't be overpaying for our sun protection. It's not a luxury. And I really want to put my money where my mouth is. So whilst I created this with a really affordable price point, I also want to do a little bit of an offer for you guys so you can stock up if you want to. So for a time being, if you put 3 of these in your basket, you'll only actually be paying for 2. So it's 3 for the price of 2. Same goes if you put 6 in your basket, you'll only actually be paying for 4. So this is a great way of buying multiple units to reward your guys and the loyalty and kindness and support that you've always shown me, but making sure that you can stock up for your sunscreen all summer long without overpaying. I've linked this product in the description box below and some more information about accessing that discount, but also check out that video so some of the other brands' amazing sunscreens that do exist. So let's go to the chase and apply. Now I like to do it in 2 stages, well 2.5 stages. First up, I will put a couple of pumps of this sunscreen to my hand. 3 pumps at this stage will be enough, and I work it into the skin. Now I'm a great believer in applying 2 thinner layers of sunscreen rather than 1 thick layer. One thick layer tends to risk pilling whatever sunscreen you use, and also I tend to find it doesn't give quite as elegant a finish. If you put two thinner layers, allowing like 20 or 30 seconds between them to sink in, I just find that sunscreen looks better on the skin, it applies nicer, and it gives you that really nice plump dewiness to the skin that I think we all crave. So we're just going to let that sink in, and you'll notice I haven't actually done the ears or the eyelids. They're coming later, so don't read me to filth in the comments just yet. First application on. I'll then go in with another 3 pumps of this sunscreen, and 6 pumps tends to do the whole of my face when I'm using this sunscreen. I have quite a big face and proud, and so maybe I use a little bit more sunscreen than the average person, but use what works for you. Just make sure you get that even coverage. I'll then work this second layer in, which glides on so much better than if I tried to put 6 pumps on all at once. Let that work into the skin. I don't like to over rub. I like to find a sunscreen that actually absorbs into the skin quite nicely, because again, I think if you rub too hard, that's when you risk the pilling and it all balling up on itself. As you can see, it gives that nice little glow, that dewiness, and is perfectly hydrating. So this sunscreen you can use in place of your moisturiser if you've got particularly oily skin like me. Gives you just that nice dewiness, but it's like a moisturiser and sunscreen in one. If you've got a very dryness prone skin type, you might want to put your moisturiser on first, then follow on with this. It's absolutely up to you. Use what works for you and what your skin needs, but for me, this is all the hydration my skin craves. Now finally, and this is why I call it like a 2.5 step process, I'm going to put a couple of pumps and then apply it to my eyelids and to my ears. Now, the reason I do this is these are the 2 areas that people always forget with their sunscreen application, and I was the worst for it. I would never apply to my ears, and unfortunately, the area of the face which is showing the biggest increase in cancers at the moment is the ears. So make sure that you're not missing these areas, because if you think this is one of the areas that the sun hits first, so it's most exposed, it's probably the one that you're forgetting, which is why I like to almost do it as like a half step right at the end, just to show a little love and dedication to those specific areas. This sunscreen doesn't make my eyes water or run, it doesn't irritate my eyelids, which are particularly sensitive, and a lot of people I know find that out too, but this doesn't. It just sinks right in. Within like 30 seconds, you're set and ready to go. Most sunscreens will recommend that you apply them like 20 minutes before you step out of the door into the light. That's like the ideal, and I do always try to do that. If it's not possible, don't worry. Applying is more important than waiting that 20 minutes, but if you can wait 20 minutes, it's what I personally like to do. So, you know, put it on, do your sunscreen application, then maybe brush your teeth, get dressed, do all of that afterwards, so you're letting it sink in and get to work on the skin. Now, normally, never forget to take it onto the neck. After this, I will just put a little bit on the exposed areas of the neck, because it's a bit cold here in the UK and I'm going to be wearing this hoodie. I don't need to worry about all the areas. As you see, I did make sure I covered the sides when I was on my face. I'll put a little here and then I'm covered. I would definitely recommend you try the 2.5 stage application process. The reason I do it like this is we're never going to get that perfect coverage with one thick application. Not only do you get a better application using 2 thinner layers, but if I miss an area of the face on that first pass, I'll then cover it on the second pass. So it just means that every single area of the skin is protected. That half pass right at the end makes sure you're getting the tops of the ears and the eyelids, so you're truly covered and ready to go. I just want 2023 to be the year where we stop stressing about what we can't do with sunscreen and instead focus on what we can do. One really robust application like this on a morning will give you some really great coverage that's probably far in excess of what you were doing just 3 or 4 years ago. If you can reapply during the day, absolutely go for it, and maybe reach for like a sun stick, which is easier to apply on the go, or some of the other great options on the market. But if you can't apply during the day, maybe you're running errands, your work is just not practical, don't worry, don't let it stop you applying sunscreen altogether, which is something that I've seen. Just make sure you get that very first application right and then do what you can there in on out. Hopefully this will help you get to grips with your own sunscreen application, but let me know any hints, tips and hacks that you have in the comment section below. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.